It is time to wrap up the quarterfinal contest with the very last one. Certainly not the least among them. This time it is between the West End University College and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. This is a Tertiary Business Sense challenge brought to us by Graphic Business in partnership with ICAG. Our sponsors, Glyco Life, PwC, Gold Ghana, Papaya Fast Foods, Zenith University College, EPP Book Services, Ghana National Association of Teachers, Compi Ghana, MTN, and GCB Bank. The program is streaming live on Facebook Daily Graphic Ghana. Our media partners are Daily Graphic and Graphic Online. 5 quarterfinal contests down the line. 5 winners progressing to the semi-final stage. 1 final contest remaining to decide or to complete the 6 semi-finalists. The last contest, from which we will have a winner joining the University of Cape Coast, Valley View University, University of Education Winneba, University of Ghana, and the SD Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, who is it going to be? To do battle today is the West End University College, is the KNUST. Please, with a loud round of applause, let's welcome the 2 schools on stage. So for West End University College, they joined TBSC last year. Last year, they could not make it to the national level. They were eliminated at the zonal quarterfinal stage by Pentecost University. This year, they have qualified for the very first time for the national championship. All right, you're welcome on stage. So like I was saying, for West End University College, at the round of 16, they were able to defeat the Tamale Technical University. And they are here to defeat the KNUST to make their way to the semi-final for the very first time. Before then, let's get to know them. Who is representing West End University College?
My name is Kwame Oladele, Computer Science, level 300.
Okay.
Edinam Ablanca Sika, Human Resource Management, level 400.
My name is Fonyo Jude, Accounting, level 300.
You are welcome, ladies and gentlemen. All right, what are we expecting from you today?
We are here to put up our best.
How has the preparation been like?
It hasn't been easy, but we are hoping to do better than we've done previously.
Okay, I wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you.
Who is representing KNUST?
Adeleke Jaffet, final year accounting.
Kojo Champo Poku, final year accounting.
Asuntolia Frederick, 3rd year accounting.
Yeah, welcome, gentlemen. How has the preparation been like for this quarterfinal clash?
Okay, for the quarterfinals, the preparation hasn't been easy, but we are hoping that whatever effort we place in it will be fruitful in this competition.
What should your teaming fans be expecting from you today?
So we're going to put in our maximum effort and give them a worthy contest.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, for KNUST, they won the middle zone, the 3-time zonal champion. They have also won the national championship once in the last 2 years or so. They are here to qualify to the semi-final for the 6th consecutive time. Will they be able to do it? Only time will tell. They have West End University College to contend with. My name is Al Hassan Yusuf Traore, and I'm proud to be your moderator for this contest. Of course, I love academic violence. So the contest is going to be organized in 6 rounds. Round 1 is on theory, round 2 calculations, round 3 business case of the day. Round 4 is a graphic business segment. The 5th round will be true or false, and the 6th round will be riddles. We are starting the contest from the West End University College. West End, please, are you ready? All right, KNUST, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so let's begin with round 1 theory. Here we are going to test your understanding of basic principles and concepts in business. Each of you will attempt 6 major questions. For a major question, you have 2 attempts only to be answered in 10 seconds unless otherwise indicated. If it's a bonus, you have 5 seconds to be answered in, you have to answer in 5 seconds for 1 point. Let's begin with West End University College. Common preamble to the 2 schools. Now you have to identify the specific step of Cote's model that is being applied or neglected and justify briefly your answer. Identify the specific step of Cote's model being applied or neglected in the following scenarios and briefly justify your answer. All right, so let's begin with West End. West End, after implementing a digital record system in its hospitals, a health agency saw initial improvements. However, leadership failed to recognize and celebrate the progress. Staff morale dropped and enthusiasm waned. What step in Cote's 8-step change model was most likely neglected and why? After implementing a digital record system in its hospitals, a health agency saw initial improvement. However, leadership failed to recognize and celebrate the progress. Staff morale dropped and enthusiasm waned. Which step in Cote's 8-step change model was most likely neglected and why?
This will be the reward recognition step, and it is because the management ignored the performance of the employees, hence it dropped their morale.
Let me get a bonus from KNUST. What will you say?
Okay, so we have the employee morale or motivation step, and the reason being that since management did not give a word to the employees, they will feel demotivated to continue with the work.
No, I won't take that. On the contrary, I'm going to give West End 1 point. Okay, I'll give 1 point. I'll mention the step later, not now, but I'll give 1 point to West End. Now your major question, KNUST. A multinational firm rolls out a climate sustainability initiative. While the step is sound, middle managers and employees receive conflicting messages, and many are unclear about what's expected of them. Which step in Cote's model is weak or missing, and what's the implication? A multinational firm rolls out a climate sustainability initiative. While the strategy is sound, middle managers and employees receive conflicting messages, and many are unclear about what's expected of them. Which step in Cote's model is weak or misleading here, and what's the implication?
So we have the communication stage, as since the step wasn't communicated from management to the employees, both of them do not have an understanding on what they're supposed to do in relation to the change.
All right, so communicate the vision. I'll give that to you. That is correct. Next set of questions. All right, West End. A manufacturing company decides to implement a just-in-time inventory system to reduce warehousing costs and minimize excess stock. However, during a nationwide transport strike, several parts arrived late, halting production for 2 days. Management realized that they had focused heavily on cutting inventory without adjusting supply arrangement or internal processes. Identify 3 factors that the company should have considered before implementing just-in-time. Justify your choices based on the scenario. So mention or identify 3 factors that should be considered before a company implements a just-in-time system.
Okay, so the organization should consider the stock, the inventory they have in stock, and they should also consider the rate at which the employees, the organization should consider the minimum stock level and the maximum stock level, and also the rate at which, and also demand, the rate of demand.
2 out of 3. KNUST. To minimize its total inventory cost, a pharmaceutical distributor adopts the economic order quantity model to determine optimal order sizes for frequently used medicines. However, fluctuations in demand and supply lead times affect its ability to consistently order at a calculated EOQ level. Identify 3 factors that must be considered when applying the economic order quantity model in this context. Justify your choices. To identify 3 factors that must be considered when applying the economic order quantity model in this context. Justify your choices.
So we have the annual demand, and when it comes to the annual demand, the company should have an estimate of what is a projected estimate of the amount of demand they will have within the year, so as they can structurally they can calculate the UQ to represent better. And we also have the holding costs, so they should also look at their holding costs. The reason being that their holding costs can help them determine how much more of the UQ they should hold. And we also have the ordering costs, so based on the amount per order, they should also focus on the amount per order.
Yes, it is correct. Next set of questions, beginning with you, West End University College, still starting with you. All right. Common preamble. So for the scenarios I'm going to mention to you, you have to identify 3 stages of the 5S methodology that are being neglected, and then justify your choices based on the observation. So I read to you West End. In response to a rise in minor workplace injuries and damaged components, a precision electronics manufacturer initiates a 5S audit. Observers note tangled cables on the floor, shared tools left in random drawers, and uncalibrated instrument being used due to confusion over storage zones. Identify 3 stages of the 5S methodology that are being neglected. I'll take it again. In response to a rise in minor workplace injuries and damaged components, a precision electronics manufacturer initiates a 5S audit. Observers note tangled cables on the floor, shared tools left at random or in random drawers, and uncalibrated instrument being used due to confusion over storage zones. You have to identify any 3 stages of the 5S methodology that are being neglected here.
So we have safety, where the employee safety is questionable because there's shared use of some PPEs or some equipment, and then there's security because of the tangled cables and the cables that could hinder their security. And
Okay, I'm not accepting that. Bonus for KNUST.
Okay, so for the 5S methodology, we have sort. Sort is about putting the items in a good place, as in removing things, sorting them in such a way that they can be easily identifiable. And we have set in order. With set in order, we are putting things, or let's say machines and everything that needs to be placed in order so that the process can move smoothly. And we have standardized. Standardized, we are looking at making sure that everything that we produce follow a particular standard.
Yes, that is correct. Now your major question, KNUST. A plant manager proudly notes the success of a recent 5S campaign with cleaner workspaces and improved productivity. However, 6 months later, a follow-up visit shows a return to disorder, dust-covered equipment, missing floor labels, and disorganized shelves. Which 3 5S principles were not properly sustained in this plant, and how could this affect long-term operational performance? A plant manager proudly notes the success of a recent 5S campaign with cleaner workspace and improved productivity. However, 6 months later, a follow-up visit shows a return to disorder, dust-covered equipment, missing floor labels, and disorganized shelves. Which 3 5S principles were not properly sustained in this plant?
Okay, so we have one, the shine. So they fail to maintain the cleanliness of their operations, and then we also have sustain, because after 6 months, after the check was done, it was found after 6 months they weren't able to maintain what they initially started with. And then we also have set in order. They fail to put all their operations and manners in order.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. For the next set of questions, we are beginning with KNUST. KNUST, you start the next set for us. Common preamble to the 2 schools. Okay, this is for KNUST, not common preamble. A logistics company imports medical equipment into Ghana for a government hospital. Before the goods are cleared through customs, a fire breaks out at the port warehouse, destroying most of the cargo. The importer applies to customs, requesting not to pay the applicable duties. Which customs concept is being applied in this case, and briefly explain its relevance? A logistics company imports medical equipment into Ghana for a government hospital. Before the goods are cleared through customs, a fire breaks out at the port warehouse, destroying most of the cargo. The importer applies to customs, requesting not to pay the applicable duties. You have to identify the customs concept that is being applied in this scenario by the importer and briefly explain the relevance.
So we have the tax refund concept, as in so in such a way that assuming the individual had paid some of the import duties, or let's say some of the import duties may have been paid previously. So since the cargo which he brought is subject to fire, he won't be able to provide any services to individuals. Hence, the government will have to give him back any import duties he had already spent.
I won't take that. Bonus for West End University. Okay, so I'll give the answer later. Now your major question, West End. A textile manufacturer in Ghana imports raw fabric from Turkey, pays the required customs duties, and processes the fabric into finished garment for exports to Europe. The company applies to the customs authority for a refund of duties paid on the imported fabric. Identify the customs concept being applied in this case and explain why it is applicable. A textile manufacturer in Ghana imports raw fabric from Turkey, pays the required customs duties, and processes the fabric into finished garment for exports to Europe. The company applies to the customs authority for a refund of duties paid on the imported fabric. Identify the customs concept being applied here and why it is applicable. Bonus for KNUST.
The tax concept is tax refund, as the individual had already paid taxes. Hence, that is why he applied to the custom duties for him to get back his money.
So I'm not accepting that as well. I wanted a specific one. The specific one I'm looking for is duty drawback. Duty drawback. For the earlier one that I asked, it is a remission of duty. Remission of duty. Now they had not paid the duties for them to request for a refund. So it wasn't refund in the first one that I asked you. Next set of questions. KNUST. A portfolio manager claims that his equity fund has consistently outperformed the market over the last 3 years, even after accounting for risk. An analyst calculates the fund's beta at 1.2 and compares the actual return to the expected return under the capping method. Identify the risk-adjusted performance metric relevant to this case, explain what it measures, and interpret what a positive result will imply. A portfolio manager claims that his equity fund has consistently outperformed the market over the last 3 years, even after accounting for risk. An analyst calculates the fund's beta at 1.2 and compares the actual return to the expected return under the capping model. Identify the risk-adjusted performance metric relevant to this case. Explain what it measures and what a positive result would imply.
The risk-adjusted metric that is used here is the Jensen alpha, and what it measures is how much an individual's portfolio works better than, let's say, the CAPM, or what normal return should be. And a positive result will be that the fund manager or the manager of the fund has been able to outperform the market.
That is correct. That is correct. West End. An investor is comparing two funds with similar Sharpe ratios. However, Fund A experiences mild fluctuations, while Fund B has frequent Sharpe drawdowns. The investor wants to focus only on downside risk rather than total volatility. Identify the most appropriate performance ratio to guide the investor's decision. Explain how it differs from the Sharpe ratio. I'll take it again. An investor is comparing two funds with similar Sharpe ratios. However, Fund A experiences mild fluctuations, while Fund B has frequent Sharpe drawdowns. The investor wants to focus only on the downside risk rather than total volatility. Identify the most appropriate performance ratio to guide the investor's decision. Explain how it differs from the Sharpe ratio. You've been bailed out. Bonus for KNUST.
Okay, so the most appropriate method that should be used is the Sortino ratio, as managers want to focus solely on the downside risks.
That is correct. And now to our last set of questions for this round. To our last set of questions. So here you have to identify and explain the communication strategy that is being employed in the following scenarios. Explain the communication strategy or concept that is being demonstrated in each of the following scenarios. I begin with you, KNUST. In an online store, a product is marked now 200 cedis, previously 400 cedis, even though it was never actually sold at 400 cedis. Customers perceive it as a bargain and are more likely to buy. Identify and explain the communication concept being demonstrated in the scenario. In an online store, a product is marked now 200 cedis, previously 400 cedis, even though it was never actually sold at 400 cedis. Customers perceive it as a bargain and are more likely to buy.
So this is a form of psychological pricing, in the sense that they want to manipulate the psyche of their customers to assume that something which wasn't there was actually there, so as to induce more purchases.
I'm not taking that. Bonus for West End University College. Okay, so I'll give the answer later. And now the last question will go to West End University College. In promoting a weight loss program, one campaign message states, participants lose up to 10 kg in 8 weeks, whilst another states, those who don't participate typically remain 10 kg overweight. Both refer to the same expected outcome, but shape the audience perspective differently. Identify and explain the communication strategy being employed in this scenario. In promoting a weight loss program, one campaign message states, participants lose up to 10 kg in 8 weeks, while another says, those who don't participate typically remain 10 kg overweight. Both refer to the same expected outcome, but shape the audience's perspective differently. Identify and explain the communication strategy being employed in this scenario.
This refers to the psychological communication where the participants are led to think that the outcomes or the results are being achieved in different ways, whereas the outcomes are actually the same, whether the participants participate in the exercise activity or not.
No, I won't take that. Bonus for KNUST.
Okay, so this is a form of reverse psychology in the sense that they are trying to turn something which, so they are trying to manipulate the amount in such a way that although it is the same for both sides, because people are thinking differently, they are hoping it to work.
No, please. It is known as framing. Framing is where it refers to the way information is presented to influence how it is interpreted by the audience. The first one I asked you was anchoring. Anchoring. And this occurs when people rely heavily on the first piece of information. That's the anchor, when they are making decisions. On that note, we come to the end of round 1. It is a contest between West End University College and the KNUST for a place at the semi-final. 5 schools are in waiting for the last school to join them. At the end of round 1, the scores. West End University College had 3 points, KNUST had 14 points. We go to round 2, straight away, 30 seconds each for a major question. 3 points if it's your major question. For a bonus, you have 5 seconds to be answered. 5 seconds for you to answer your question for 1 point. We are beginning this round from the KNUST. KNUST, are you ready? All right. So Skeller Limited has net tangible assets valued at 80,000 cedis and annual earnings averaging 28,000 cedis. Nkrumah Limited wants to acquire Skeller Limited and estimate a fair return of 25% for firms in this industry. If goodwill is to be valued at 3 years' purchase of super profit, estimate the total value of Skeller Limited. Skeller Limited has net tangible asset valued at 80,000 cedis and annual earnings averaging 28,000 cedis. Nkrumah Limited wants to acquire Skeller Limited and estimate a fair return of 25% for firms in this industry. If goodwill is to be valued at 3 years' purchase of super profit, estimate the total value of Skeller Limited.
Okay, so we have the amount to be 104,000.
Yes, it's correct. West End University College, Israel Limited, has net assets of 100,000 cedis and average earnings of 20,000 cedis. If the industry standard rate of return is 25% and goodwill is valued at 2 years' purchase of super profit, estimate the business value. Israel Limited has net assets of 100,000 cedis and average earnings of 20,000 cedis. If the industry standard rate of return is 25% and goodwill is valued at 2 years' purchase of super profit, estimate the business value.
107,200.
It is not correct. Bonus for KNUST.
90,000.
Yes, 90,000. Your major question, KNUST. In a duopoly market, firms A supply curve is QA equals 150 plus 2 into bracket P minus T. Firm B supply is Q equals 100 plus 3 into bracket P minus T. The market demand is Q equals 900 minus 10P. The government imposes a per unit tax of 5 cedis on the firms. Determine the equilibrium price, that's the price paid by consumers. Calculate the equilibrium quantity and find the quantity supplied by firm B. I take it again. In a duopoly market, firms A supply is QA equals 150 plus 2 into bracket P minus T. Firms B supply is QB equals 100 plus 3 into bracket P minus T. The market demand is QD equals 900 minus 10P. The government imposes a per unit tax of 5 cedis on the firms. Determine the equilibrium price, that's the price paid by consumers, and calculate the equilibrium quantity. Find the quantity supplied by firm B. We've been bailed out. Bonus for West End University College. Also bailed out. Now your major question, West End University College. Two firms compete in a duopoly market. Firm A supplies QA equals 100 plus 2 into bracket P plus S. Firm B supplies QB equals 150 plus 3 into bracket P plus S. The market demand QD equals 100 minus 10P. The government provides a 5 cedi per unit subsidy to both firms. Calculate the equilibrium market price, that's the price paid by consumers, and then determine the total market quantity traded and compute the output of firm B at equilibrium. I take it again. Two firms compete in a duopoly market. Firm A supplies QA equals 100 plus 2 into bracket P plus S. Firm B supplies QB equals 150 plus 3 into bracket P plus S. The market demand QD equals 900 minus 10P. The government provides a 5 cedi per unit subsidy to both firms. Calculate the equilibrium market price, that's the price paid by consumers, determine the total market quantity traded, and compute the output of firm B at equilibrium. Bailed out, bonus for KNUST. Also bailed out. So the equilibrium price is 41.67 cedi. The quantity is 483.3 units, and firm B's output is 290 units. Next set of questions, still beginning with KNUST. A project has an unlevered NPV of 600,000 cedis. The firm intends to finance the project with 300,000 cedis in debt. The corporate tax rate is 30%, and the debt issuance cost is 10% of the amount borrowed. Calculate the adjusted present value of the project. A project has an unlevered NPV of 600,000 cedis. The firm intends to finance the project with 300,000 cedis in debt. The corporate tax rate is 30%, and the debt issuance cost is 10% of the amount borrowed. Calculate the adjusted present value of the project.
Okay, so the adjusted net present value is so we're having 426,000.
It is not correct. You have one other chance. Okay, bailed out. West End, you have a bonus for me.
It would be 1,020,000.
It is not 1,020,000. Now your major question, West End. An unlevered project has an NPV of 450,000 cedis. It is financed with 200,000 cedis in debt. The interest rate is 5% annually, and the tax rate is 25%. The firm expects to maintain this debt for 3 years. The unlevered cost of equity is 8%, which is used to discount the tax shield. There are no issuance costs. Calculate the adjusted present value, assuming the tax shield is realized annually over 3 years. An unlevered project has an NPV of 450,000 cedis. It is financed with 200,000 cedis in debt. The interest rate is 5% annually, and the tax rate is 25%. The firm expects to maintain this debt for 3 years. The unlevered cost of equity is 8%, which is used to discount the tax shield. There are no issuance costs. Calculate the adjusted present value, assuming the tax shield is realized annually over 3 years.
$650,000.
No, you have one other chance. You've been bailed out. KNUST, you have your chance.
916,667.
No, please. That is also not correct. Next set of questions. This time I'm beginning from West End University College. West End is starting this for us. Ferrita Limited is procuring a cloud-based data solution with an expected cost of 750,000 cedis. 2 potential risk events have been identified. Risk A, 15% chance of vendor delaying. Let me take it again. Ferrita Limited is procuring a cloud-based data solution with an expected cost of 750,000 cedis. 2 potential risk events have been identified. Risk A, 15% chance of vendor delay, adding 100,000 cedis. Risk B, 25% chance of cyber compliance cost, adding 80,000 cedis, adding 80,000 cedis. A general risk premium of 8% is applied to account for market volatility. Calculate the risk-adjusted cost. Ferrita Limited is procuring a cloud-based data solution with an expected cost of 750,000 cedis. 2 potential risk events have been identified. Risk A, 15% chance of vendor delay, adding 100,000 cedis. Risk B, 25% chance of cyber compliance cost, adding 80,000 cedis. A general risk premium of 8% is applied to account for market volatility. Calculate the risk-adjusted cost.
%28.
No.
$240,000.
No, please. You've exhausted your chances. Bonus for KNUST.
So we have 787,800.
It is not correct. It is not correct. Next question, or your major question, KNUST. GCB Bank is planning to deploy a compliance automation system with a base cost of 400,000 cedis. 2 risk events have been identified. For risk A, 20% probability of integration issues causing an additional 50,000 cedis. Risk B, 10% probability of legal review delays, incurring an extra 40,000 cedis. The company also applies a general risk premium of 5% to the base cost. Calculate the risk-adjusted cost of the project. GCB Bank is planning to deploy a compliance automation system with a base cost of 400,000 cedis. 2 risk events have been identified. For risk A, it has 20% probability of integration issues causing an additional 50,000 cedis. Risk B, 10% probability of legal review delays, incurring an extra 40,000 cedis. The company also applies a general risk premium of 5% to the base cost. Calculate the risk-adjusted cost of the project.
We have 434,000.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Next set of questions. West End University College, you are starting for me. The demand function for graphic business is P equals 200 minus 0.5 kil, where P is the price per unit and kil is the quantity sold. The marginal cost function is MC equals 20 plus 0.1 kil. The total fixed cost of production is 1,000 cedis. Determine the profit maximizing quantity and the corresponding price, and calculate the maximum profit earned by the firm. The demand function for graphic business is P equals 200 minus 0.5 kil, where P is the price per unit and kil is the quantity sold. The marginal cost function is MC equals 20 plus 0.1 kil. The total fixed cost of production is 1,000 cedis. Determine the profit maximizing quantity and the corresponding price. Calculate the maximum profit earned by the firm as well. Bonus for KNUST. All right, bailed out. Now your major question, KNUST. A monopolist in the telecommunications sector faces a demand function P equals 500 minus 5 kil. Marginal cost is constant at 50 cedis and fixed costs are 500 cedis. Find the profit maximizing output and price. Calculate the maximum profit. A monopolist in a telecommunications sector faces a demand function P equals 500 minus 5P. Marginal cost is constant at 50 cedis and fixed costs are 500 cedis. Find the profit maximizing output and price. Calculate the maximum profit.
So the profit maximizing quantity is 55, and then the maximizing profit is 275.
What?
275.
Okay, so I asked for 3 things. You're giving 2, but I'm giving you 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3. You got one of the figures correct. The quantity, I think that's the quantity is 45. The maximum profit is 9,625. But the price is the 275, which you mentioned correctly. Now for our last set of questions for this round. Last set of questions, West End. Glycolife had a liquid ratio of 1.8 and current ratio of 2.5. Inventory turnover is 4 times. That's the inventory turnover ratio 4 times. It had total current assets of 1.2 million cedis. What is the annual sales if goods are sold at 20% profit on cost? Glycolife had a liquid ratio of 1.8 and a current ratio of 2.5. Inventory turnover ratio 4 times. It had total current asset of 1.2 million cedis. What is the annual sales if goods are sold at 20% profit on cost?
$960,000.
It is not correct. You have one chance. You've been bailed out, unfortunately. Bonus for KNUST.
1,602,800.
What? Please come again.
1,612,800.
It is correct. And now the last question for this round. Ghana has a current ratio of 3 and a liquid ratio of 2.4. Total current assets amounts to 900,000 cedis. The inventory turnover ratio is 5 times. Goods are sold at a profit margin of 25% on cost. Calculate the company's annual sales. Ghana has a current ratio of 3 and a liquid ratio of 2.4. Total current assets amounts to 900,000 cedis. The inventory turnover ratio is 5 times. Goods are sold at a profit margin of 25% on cost. Calculate the company's annual sales.
112.5. 1,100.
1,125,000.
Yes. So on that note, we come to the end of round 2, ladies and gentlemen. The contest is between West End University College and the KNUST. A place at the semi-final is at stake. We have 4 more rounds to go. We have the business case, we have graphic business, we have true or false, and the riddles. So we'll take the scores for round 2, and then we progress to the 3rd round. The program is sponsored by Glycolife, PwC, Gold Ghana, Papaya Fast Foods, Zenith University College, EPP Book Services, Ghana, Ghana National Association of Teachers, MTN Ghana, as well as GCB Bank. We are taking our scores for round 2. West End had no points, KNUST had 11 points. We'll go straight into round 3, which is the business case of the day. Please, you may pick up your business case for us to go through together. Are you ready? Okay. You have just been appointed as the procurement manager for Ajiman Foods Limited, a medium-sized company expanding its production lines. The company requires a steady supply of high-quality packaging materials and ingredients from reliable suppliers. Your first task is to oversee the procurement of these inputs, ensuring that the process is transparent, cost-effective, and aligned with company quality standards. Describe the key steps you would follow in managing the purchasing process. Then explain how you evaluate and select suitable suppliers, clearly stating the criteria, methods, and tools you apply to ensure optimal supplier selection. So very simple, straightforward. This is the business case of the day. You have 10 minutes to give a solution. You may start now. Please stop work and submit whatever you have done. Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you very much. So very simple and straightforward. Something on procurement. There's a purchase process. So we've indicated that you have been appointed as a procurement manager somewhere, and your first task is for you to procure or oversee the procurement of some inputs. And you're supposed to describe the key steps you would follow in managing the procurement or the purchasing process. Then you need to also explain how you would evaluate and select suitable suppliers, indicating the criteria that you use, the methods, and then the tools that you apply to ensure optimal supplier selection. Okay. So what were we expecting from them? There are so many steps in the purchasing process. There is no one size fits all, but generally, you normally begin the procurement or the purchase process by identify the need, that is what you have to procure, or what you need in the organization. Then you do the necessary supplier research and pre-qualification. You can request for quotation or tendering. You can evaluate whatever offers or bids that you have received. You select the supplier and then you negotiate. You award the contract. You issue a purchase order. You monitor the order and as well as the delivery. You inspect and then ensure that it is of high quality. You match it with the invoice, and then payment is made, and then you conduct performance review of the supplier. These and some others are the steps that you want to take. Okay, any 4 that you state for 3 marks. In terms of the evaluation and selection, that's the second part of the question. There are a number of criteria that you can use. You can use the price, you can use the quality, you can look at the delivery performance, even the capacity, the financial stability of the person, the past performance, or the ethical or social compliance. These are approaches or criteria that you can use to assess or select the supplier. Any 3 of these and you have 3 points. Now, the last part of the question was about the methods or the tool that you can use to evaluate the supplier. It was quite specific on the tool that you use to evaluate and select your supplier, not necessarily the procurement methods. The tool that you use to evaluate the supplier. So some of these tools could include, you could have a scoring model, weighted scoring model. You can have a supplier risk matrix. You can do audit and site visits, vendor rating system. You can do requests for quotations. Also have a supplier scorecard. These are some of the approaches that you can use to evaluate the methods or the tools that you can use to evaluate the suppliers. So any 3 points, good points, they are not limited to these, but any methods or tools that you can use to evaluate them is acceptable. Now let's look at what they did. Begin with KNUST. So in terms of the steps, they listed a number of steps. I think I will accept all. They listed about 6, so I'll accept 4 out of those 6. That is accepted. In terms of the criteria, they mentioned that you can use the lead time, that's delivery. You can use the price. You can use quality or nearness to entity. Those are accepted. I'll select 3 of those. Now, when it comes to methods, the question wasn't asking about methods for procurement. It was asking for evaluation, how you would evaluate. But you wrote open source tendering, restricted tendering, single source tendering. I'm not sure I'll accept those. But behind that, you also have the tools that you can use. You indicated a tender document, purchase requisition note, goods, receipt notes. I'm not so sure about those, but I'll give you one here. So for your effort, you have 8 out of 10. Now for West End University College, they also listed a number of steps that I'll accept 4 of those is fine. Now how to evaluate and select, they talked about quality. They also spoke about cost effective. They also spoke about the ones that are accessible, reliable, and then those that are close to the location is fine. I'll accept those. Now, when we came to the methods that we can use to evaluate, They wrote pilot testing. I think it makes sense. They also wrote surveys and questionnaires. Those are also ways that you can use to assess. And then digital tools from data collection. I'll accept that as well. So West End, for your effort, I'll give you 10 out of 10. So at the end of round 3, KNUST had 8 points. West End University College had 10 points. We can go on to the round 4. If you want to make some substitutions, please feel free to do so now. You can do that quickly for us to go into the 4th round. No sub. Oh, wow. That's good. Yes, I love it this way. So let's see. Beginning this round from West End University College. And this round, I'm going to ask you questions on some stories that appeared in the Graphic Business newspaper. You have 2 attempts at a major question, 1 attempt at a bonus. Each of you will attempt 6 major questions. 3 points if you get your major question correct, 1 point if it's a bonus. Let's begin with West End University College. Okay, West End. The 14th Association of Ghana Industries Award has been launched in Accra with a call on businesses to continue embracing high-quality standards to be more competitive on the global market. What will be the theme for this event? The 14th AGI Award has been launched in Accra with a call on businesses to continue embracing high-quality standards to be more competitive on the global market. What will be the theme for this event?
Business for forest gain. Business and economic growth.
That is not correct. Bonus to KNUST.
Okay. So we have assessing new markets through improved quality standards by driving business growth and fostering by driving business growth and job creation.
Yes, that is correct. Now your major question, KNUST. Renowned tax and legal expert Professor Abdullah Ali Nachia has called on international development partners to prioritize institutional capacity building over traditional aid and loan arrangements as a more sustainable path to national development. He said this at an event organized by the Media Foundation for West Africa. What was the theme for this event? What was the theme for the event at which Professor Ali Nachia called on international development partners to prioritize institutional capacity building over traditional aid and loan arrangements?
Okay, so we have hidden riches, hollow laws, dissecting the loopholes that fuel corruption in Ghana.
Yes, that is correct. Next set of questions. Still beginning with West End University College. Common preamble to the 2 schools. Common preamble. According to the Managing Director of Republic Bank Ghana Limited, Dr. Benjamin Joboku, the bank will continue to anchor its growth strategy on 6 core pillars. You have to mention any 3 of these core pillars each. According to the MD of Republic Bank, the bank will continue to anchor its growth strategy on 6 core pillars. Mention 3 of these pillars each, beginning with West End.
SME banking, mortgage financing, and
That's fine. So I'll give you 2 out of 3. KNUST, you have your chance now.
Okay, so we have corporate banking, retail and commercial banking, and wealth management.
Yes, that is correct. Next set of questions. Common preamble. The midway through 2025, company executives must pause and evaluate their performance. A planned half-year review is essential, particularly in Ghana and West Africa's dynamic market, for identifying gaps, adjusting plans, and avoiding costly mistakes. Now, West End. Operations frequently encounter silent difficulties, such as waste, delays, low productivity, and negative customer experiences. Examine the procedures. No, you have to examine your procedures, tools, and technology. Identify the 3 key questions to address at this stage. Operations frequently encounter silent difficulties, such as waste, delays, low productivity, and negative customer experience. You need to examine your procedures, tools, and technology. In doing this, you need to identify any 3 key questions that you have to ask yourself at this stage.
The first question is, does operations match customer expectation? And how does operations ensure minimization of waste? And how does efficient operation prevent delay?
That is not correct. Bonus for KNUST.
Okay, so the first one, we have, are there any bottlenecks or waste regions in our supply chain? The second one, we have our supply chains dependable and cost effective. The third one is, are we able to meet deliveries on deadline? Or are we able to make deliveries on the deadline?
Yes, that is correct. Now your major question, KNUST. Without listening to your customers, every internal review is incomplete. Contact your top consumers, long-term clients, and even unsatisfied ones. Identify 3 key questions to address at this stage. Without listening to your customers, every internal review is incomplete. You need to contact your top consumers, long-term clients, and even unsatisfied ones. What are the 3 key questions to address at this stage?
So the first one is, how pleased were they by your good or service? The second one is, what changes would they like to see in your good or your service? And the third one is, why would they choose you or leave you?
Yes, that is correct. Next set of questions beginning from KNUST. Common preamble to the 2 schools. Common preamble. An expo to offer unique opportunity for aspiring homeowners and vehicle owners was recently organized by Fidelity Bank in Ghana. The expo featured an impressive lineup of Fidelity Bank's auto financing partners. Mention any 3 of these partners each. Mention 3 of the auto partners or auto financing partners of Fidelity Bank each, beginning from KNUST.
Okay, so we have DG Motors, we have Volkswagen, and then we also have EV Africa.
Okay, that's fine. Yes.
We have Honda Ghana, Hyundai Ghana, and Toyota Ghana.
Yes. Next set of questions. Common preamble. If it costs consumers less to purchase goods and services in the month of June this year than it did in the months before, data released by the Ghana Statistical Service has shown it costs consumers less to purchase goods and services in the month of June this year than it did in the month before. That's according to data that was released by the Ghana Statistical Service. Now, KNUST, what was the inflation rate for goods for the month of June 2025, May 2025, and the percentage point difference? What was the inflation rate for the inflation rate for goods for the month of June 2025, May 2025, and the percentage point difference?
The answer for the question.
Please go on.
So for the inflation for June 2025 is 20.2%, 20.2%, and the inflation for May is 15.2. Then the percentage difference is 5%.
That's fine. I'll accept that. Now, West End. What was the inflation rate for locally produced items for the month of June 2025, May 2025, and the percentage point difference? What was the inflation rate for locally produced items for the month of June 2025, May 2025, and the percentage point difference?
14.03. May is 14.03 and June is 9.5. And the Percentage difference is, what's my name? 4.53.
Come again with your figures.
For May, we have 14.03, and for June, we have 9.5, and the difference is 4.53.
1 out of 3. 1 out of 3. So I didn't ask for services. I asked for locally produced items. What you were giving me was for services. Okay, locally produced item, we have June 14.0. I gave that to you, but of course. Now the last set of questions for this round. Last set of questions. Common preamble. Linda Dedenyenya Nkrumah wrote an article on greenhouse farming in the June 8th edition of Graphic Business. Now, KNUST, what is the title of the study by Patrick Amoate et al., highlighting the increased risks of respiratory and skin conditions in such environments? What is the title of the study by Patrick Amoate et al., highlighting the increased risks of respiratory and skin conditions in such greenhouse environments?
So we have occupational exposure to pesticides and associated health effects among greenhouse farm workers.
Yes, that is correct. And now the last question for the round. West End University College. What is the title of the article by Linda Nkrumah in the Graphic Business of July 8th? What is the title of the article which we are referencing? The one that was written by Linda Nkrumah in the Graphic Business of July 8th.
Farming undercover.
I'll accept that. It begins with farming undercover. Promise risks of greenhouse technology in Ghana. That's fine. I'll accept it. It's quite long. On that note, we come to the end of round 4. Ladies and gentlemen, please show some love to them. It's not easy. We have 2 final rounds to go, the true or false segment and the riddles. 2 final rounds to go. We will take the scores for round 4 and then we move straight into the round 5. At the end of round 4, West End University College had 9 points, KNUST had 20 points. We'll move on to the true or false segment. I'm going to read out some statements to you. Your duty is to tell me if the statement is true or false. If you get it correct, you have 2 points. If you get it wrong, -1. You may decide not to answer, in which case the other school may take it up. Please, I hope that is clear. Each of you will attempt 6 major questions. I'm beginning this round from the KNUST. All right, KNUST. A minor who misrepresent their age to enter into a contract can still plead minority as a defense to avoid liability. A minor who misrepresent their age to enter into a contract can still plead minority as a defense to avoid liability.
False.
It is not false. They can. West End. Upon reaching the age of majority, a minor must ratify a contract in writing for it to be enforceable against the other party. Upon reaching the age of majority, a minor must ratify a contract in writing for it to be enforceable against the other party.
The answer is false.
Yes, that is correct. Next set, KNUST. In lean manufacturing, Mura is considered more harmful than Muda because it causes system instability. In lean manufacturing, Mura, that is unevenness, is considered more harmful than Muda, that is waste, because it causes system instability.
True.
What?
True.
Yes, that is correct. West End, overproduction is often labeled as worst form of Muda because it hides other inefficiencies and consumes more resources prematurely. I take it again. Overproduction is often labeled the worst form of muda, that is waste, because it hides other inefficiencies and consumes resources prematurely.
True.
Yes, it's true. KNUST. The average product of labor reaches its maximum before the marginal product of labor reaches zero. The average product of labor reaches its maximum before the marginal product of labor reaches zero.
True.
Yes. West End. At the point where the marginal product of labor is zero, the total product curve is also flat. At the point where the marginal product of labor is zero, the total product curve is also flat. Kenya, do you want to take it up? All right, we go on. Now, we begin the next set from West End. West End, you are starting for us. Adhocracy cultures are risk-averse and emphasize consistency over experimentation. Adhocracy cultures are risk-averse and emphasize consistency over experimentation.
False.
Yes, that is correct. KNUST. Hierarchy cultures are best suited for industries with fast-paced innovation and high levels of uncertainty. Hierarchy cultures are best suited for industries with fast-paced innovation and high levels of uncertainty.
False.
Yes. West End. A model suffering from high variance typically has low bias and is more likely to overfit the training data. A model that is suffering from high variance typically has low bias and is more likely to overfit the training data.
False.
It is not false. KNUST, high training accuracy combined with low validation accuracy is a strong indicator of model underfitting. High training accuracy combined with low validation accuracy is a strong indicator of model underfitting.
True.
It is not true. And now the last set of questions for the round. Last set of questions. West End. In Ghana, a supplier must be at least 51% locally owned to qualify for a margin of preference under international competitive tendering. In Ghana, a supplier must be at least 51% locally owned to qualify for a margin of preference under international competitive tendering. Kenya, do you want to take it up?
False.
It is not false. It's actually true. And now your last question for the round. A margin of preference can be applied to non-price criteria, such as delivery time or technical score in public procurement. A margin of preference can be applied to non-price criteria, such as delivery time or technical score in public procurement.
False.
Yes, it is false. On that note, we come to the end of round 5. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one final round to go to complete our quarterfinals and also to have our semi-final contest sets. Almost there. We are almost there. at the semi-final stage. Now we have the results for round 5. All right. So our scores. Whilst we are waiting, we are reminded that the program is brought to us by Graphic Business in partnership with the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. It is sponsored by Compu Ghana, Ghana National Association of Teachers, EPP Book Services, Zenith University College, Papaya Fast Foods, Gold Ghana, PwC, Glycolife, MTN, as well as GCB Bank. The program is streaming live on Facebook as well as on YouTube, Daily Graphic Ghana, our media partners Daily Graphic, and Graphic Online. After this contest, the next contest will be at the semi-final stage. We are gradually getting to the end of TBSC 2025. Who wins this year's championship, ladies and gentlemen? Who wins? Only time will tell. Do you have our scores for round 5? If we do, let's have the scores. All right, so the scores will come shortly. But whilst we work on that, maybe we should begin the final round, which is on Riddles, and then we'll come back with the scores for round 5. So in this round, the Riddles round, there will be 5 riddles in all. They are open to the 2 schools. The first school to ring their bell will be given the opportunity to answer. If you get it correct, you have, depending on when you answer, you may have 5 points, 4 points, or even 3 points. If you get it wrong, you can no longer partake in that particular riddle. But before the riddles, now let's get the results for round 5. Both schools had 5 points. KNUST 5, West End University College 5. We can now safely go into our riddles. Riddle number 1. Let me hear the bell from West End maybe before. And out of KNUST. Okay. I am a well-known theory in mass communication. I was developed by Maxwell Malcolms and Donald Shaw in 1972. I can be reflected in the awareness model, priorities model, and the salience model. I have 2 core assumptions. The first is that it is a media that controls the reality. The second assumption is that it is a media that gives importance or salience to its topics, as the more likely the media focuses on certain issues, the more likely the public perceives such issues as important. I suggest that the communications media, through the ability to identify and publicize issues, KNUST.
The agenda setting theory.
Yes, agenda setting theory is correct. That is correct. So the media sets the agenda for the discussions in the country. And that is according to agenda setting theory as developed by Malcolms and Shaw. Radio number 2, they answered on the last clue, that is 3 points. Radio number 2, I am a highly controversial topic within the financial world. I am common in private equity deals, hostile takeovers, and corporate restructuring. It is important to distinguish me from restructuring, which involves changes in the company's operations or structure to improve performance without necessarily selling off assets. West End University College.
Mergers and acquisition.
No, that is not correct. I continue for the sake of KNUST. I involve breaking up the acquired company and selling of its parts individually, or restructuring the business to focus on core assets. I refer to the practice of buying a company and then selling off its valuable assets like land, equipment, or intellectual property to make a quick profit, often leaving behind a weakened or non-operational shell of a business. Who am I? Yes.
Corporate reader. A corporate reader.
Corporate what?
Reader or reading.
No, it is not correct. The answer I'm looking for is asset stripping. Asset stripping. The third riddle. I'm one of the domains which are used to describe human personality in the 5-factor model. I am the state of primarily obtaining gratification from outside oneself. People high in me tend to be energetic, outgoing, and enjoy being around others. KNUST.
Extraversion.
Yes, extraversion. They answered on the third clue, 3 points. 3 points. Riddle number 4. Riddle number 4. I am a unit of measurement in computer systems or communication. I belong to a group of units named after a German physicist, Heinrich, who made important scientific contributions to the study of electromagnetism. I'm used to describe how frequently something happens over time, especially electronic signals. KNUST.
Hertz. Hertz.
I'll not accept it at this stage. I'll come back. I'll continue. I am commonly used to measure the speed of processors, clock rates, radio frequencies, and more. I represent 1 million cycles per second. Who am I? So if you had a chance to come back, will you have changed your answer? What would it have been?
Megahertz.
Megahertz is what I was looking for. Megahertz, not hertz. And now the last riddle, which happens to be the last question for the contest. I am a violation of the assumptions for linear regression modeling, and so I can impact the validity of econometric analysis or financial models like CAPM. If I exist, the population used in the regression contains unequal variance. The analysis results may be invalid. Models involving a wide range of values are supposedly more prone to me. KNUST.
Heteroskedasticity.
Yes, heteroskedasticity is correct. On that note, we come to the end of the contest. They answered on the third clue, that is, no, they answered on the second clue actually, that is 4 points. 4 points, yes. So on that note, we come to the end of the contest, ladies and gentlemen, between Western University College and the KNUST. The scores for round 6 before we come back with the final results. All right, so the scores for round 6. West End had no score. KNUST had 10 points. It's 10 o'clock, right? It is indeed 10 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, the final results will come shortly. But before then, how will you assess overall your performance in TBSC 2025?
With our performance, I would say we could have done better, but the preparations weren't easy. So at every point we showed up, we tried to give our best. So I'm actually proud of myself and my team.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Now, Kenya, how will you assess your performance so far?
Okay, so in terms of our performance, although we have won, we feel like we could have done better, so we want to work more on ourselves.
Okay, all right. And now the final results. All right, so we are waiting for the final results. But before it comes, we are reminded that for all schools who have made it to the semi-final, you would need to prepare for your business case analysis. So we'll communicate the date and time for you to meet and then have your business case analysis before the semi-final contest begin. So please take note of that. Appreciation to studio audience and everybody who has been part of this contest. We are waiting to take the final result. Remember that the LinkedIn challenge is still ongoing. Let us hear from you. Let us see what the TBSC is doing to you and then the institution. Share a meaningful insight or lesson or one memorable moment from your TBSC 2025 participation. Reflect on the team values. Reflect on the learning outcomes or real-world applications. It can be posted by any member of the team. And then you tag the official TBSC hashtag, that is the TBSC 2025 challenge, and mention your school's name. It is open to all participating schools in the TBSC 2025. The deadline will be approaching soon. I think it's on 7th August. So please make sure you put up your post. It can include photos, it can include infographics. There will be a criteria and there will be a panel of judges to award marks, and the winner will receive cash prizes. You receive a LinkedIn feature post. You get a certificate of digital thought leadership. You get an opportunity to be part of a post-content podcast or video interview. You may also be featured in the Graphic Business newspaper. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready now with the final results. At the end of the contest, Western University College had 27 points. KNUST had 68 points. 68 points by KNUST, 27 by Western University College, and the agenda setting theory can begin, ladies and gentlemen. The contest has officially concluded. 6 schools are in the semifinals. And the 6 schools: University of Cape Coast, Valley View University, University of Education Winneba, University of Ghana, SD Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, and now the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. By this result also, we have our semi-final pairings ready. Our first semi-final contest will be between the University of Cape Coast and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. The second contest will be between the University of Education Winneba and the Valley View University. The third contest will be between the University of Ghana and the SD Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, the last 6 remain. From over 26 schools, we come down to 6. These 6 will battle in 3 thrilling contests for a place at the grand finale. Last year we had 3 schools. We had the KNUST, we had UEW, and the University of Ghana. This year, who are we having in the finals? 3 contests, 3 winners, 1 final. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you at the semi-final stage. The program was brought to us by Graphic Business in partnership with ICAG. Our sponsors continue to be ICAG, MTN Ghana, PwC, Gold Ghana, Glyco Life, Compy Ghana, GCB Bank, Papaya Fast Food, Zenith University College, EPP Book Services, as well as the Ghana National Association of Teachers. The program has been streaming live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And signing off, I want to show appreciation to my studio audience and, of course, those of you who watch online. Appreciation to my production team, Franklin Sowa, Yvonne Ayistela, Logosu, George Danso, David Abel, Ernest Jesse Haruna, Malik, Emmanuel Amamo, Agnes Adu, Evans Minta, Alfred Akweje, Felix Tay, David Nyama, Abubakar, Evans Tayuba, Samuel Ansa, Emmanuel Adi, Esther J, Kwame Lawe, and of course the team from ICAG, Franklin Aka, Benis, Caleb, Jesse, and Walali. On this note, It's been a pleasure, a wonderful one, coming your way with the quarterfinal contest. From here, we shift to our attention to the semi-final stage. My name remains Al Hassan Yusuf Traore, and my hobby remains academic violence. I'll see you at the semi-final stage. Bye-bye for now. Audience is ready. Studio audience, I must say, are gingered up. Last quarterfinal contest for day one is upon us. To Mudaraba and Musharaka in Islamic finance. I asked you to state and explain. You haven't explained. I want you to explain the points that you have mentioned. Join me as we want to experience some academic violence this afternoon. Team Gamma, 8 members with individual coding speed of 11 tasks per day, operate at 80% efficiency. Determine how many days each team will take to complete the project. Back if you should lose this one. A place at the semi-final is what is at stake. You are tempted to speak. Bonus for Central University. On that note, we come to the end of round 4A, ladies and gentlemen. Next set of questions, University of Education, Winneba. The 2024 edition of the Tertiary Business Sense Challenge has finally come to an end. How do you assess your own performance? My name is Al Hassan Yusuf Traore, and I welcome you all to join in this violence.